Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I want to show you one trick for getting fatter drums with drum bus compression. We're going to be exploring drum bus compression today and a couple of the obstacles that come up with it, and then how to solve them. But before we dive in, if you are ready to go a little bit deeper into the mixing process in its entirety and really start to hone your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the thing for you. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and it's just a simple PDF that will walk you through the entire mixing process, step by step, to help you get professional and radio-ready mixes without any more of the hassle and without any more of the guesswork. It is a completely free guide, and you can download it below using the link in the video description. Now let's jump in here and look at drum bus compression. Let me start here by playing you the drums as they are currently inside this finished mix, and then we'll break down some of the obstacles that come along with drum bus compression. So we'll do some normal drum bus compression, and then I want to show you a trick to help keep your drums fat as you're compressing them on the bus. So here's our drums inside the mix at the moment. So this is our finished drum mix for this song. So you can hear our drums are pretty big, pretty slamming, but they're really even and they got a lot of fatness to them, even though they're pushing really, really hard. You can hear the compression that's holding them together, especially on the bus there all together as a package, but they stay really, really fat. I'm going to come over here to the bus now, and I'm going to turn off the compressor that we're using here. I want to play you the drums without drum bus compression, and then I'm going to pull in compressor, and we're going to do some standard drum bus compression here. So you can hear without the compressor in, our drums are still really fat. We don't lose any kind of weight or heaviness from the compressor, but the compressor is holding everything together. It's gluing our kit together as a package. Without it in, it feels a little bit disjointed. It feels like our snare is not quite hitting. With our kick drum there, things feel a little bit uneven. So let's pull a compressor in here and see if we can glue everything together. That's generally what you're going to get from a drum bus compressor, is that element of glue and cohesiveness across your drums. It takes them from a bunch of drum mics to working as one kit. So it turns your drums into one instrument. Now these are good settings to start with for drum bus compression here. If you're just putting something on, you want to glue your kit together a little bit. I can't talk today. These are good settings to start with. These are my general settings for most drum compression here. So I'm going to hit play, and I'm going to start to pull the threshold down a little bit to get a little bit of compression on the drums here. So these drums are moving a little bit fast, so we're gonna adjust things here. We're gonna make both of these faster and see if we can smooth it out a little bit so it's not choking our drums off here. So it's starting to hold our snare in place. But I want you to listen this time as I A-B the compressor. We start to lose some weight on our kick drum. We start to lose a little bit of bigness that our drums had before the compression here. It starts to glue things together, but we start to lose the weight of our drums, and we don't want that to happen. So listen as I A-B the compressor here. We're gonna start with it, and then I'm gonna take it out. Listen to how maybe we lose a little cohesiveness on our drums, but they get so much fatter without the compressor in. So the compressor's holding our snare in place. It's holding it right there with our kick drum, but it feels to me like we're losing some weight on our kick drum and we're losing some power on our snare drum. That's not what I want to happen. So we're gonna flip back over to our original compressor here, and you'll probably see the one trick that we're using. Notice our ratio has drastically increased. So it seems like we're doing much more aggressive compression, but take a look at our side chain here. What we're doing is we're pulling in the high pass filter on the side chain to make sure the compressor's not listening to the low end coming from our kit. So we're going to compress based on what we're hearing above the low end. Usually you're going to compress the low end first if you're pushing low end into a compressor, because it's the most powerful element on the input. So if we get rid of that, then we'll compress based on everything else. We'll compress only based on the power we're getting from our snare drum to hold it in place with our kick drum. And then we're going to talk about the mix knob here as well. Notice that's back at 50% here. But I'm going to solo this up so you can hear what our compressor is hearing. So you can hear just above 51 hertz here. Hear how above this point here is where our kick and our snare feel about the same frequency-wise. They feel like they hold the same amount of weight and the same amount of punch inside the drum mix. Below this is where our kick has all of that bloom that we don't want to ruin with the compressor. So by pulling in this high-pass filter here, we allow our compressor to negate all of that low end. So it's not listening to anything below 51 hertz there. We're saving all of that low end weight and all of that low end punch from our kick drum from being ruined by the compressor here. Now, we're still at 100% here. Same kind of settings we were using on our previous compressor here. Fast attack, fast released, because this is a fast moving drum kit here, really aggressive. We've pulled our ratio all the way up now. Notice when I hit play, we are slamming our snare drum down with this to hold it in place. Take a listen here. So notice our ratio is so much higher and we're doing so much more compression, but even as I A-B it, our kick is completely unaffected by it. It has the same amount of low end, the same amount of weight, and the same amount of punch as it did before the compression. That's the key here with the high pass filter. Now, we're holding our snare in place, right? We've got a lot of control on our snare from this compressor. Now we can pull back the mix knob to sit it where we want it in the mix. We're controlling our snare drum. Let's pull it back so it sits at a comfortable place with our kick drum and it doesn't feel squashed. So we're gonna pull back the mix knob here. In a sense, we're doing parallel compression here on our snare drum. Now, there's a couple ways to go about parallel compression. One is to get more attack, and one is usually to get more tone. Here, we're going for more tone on our snare drum because we have our attack cranked up. If you're going to get more attack on your snare drum or on your kick drum with parallel compression, you want to have a slower attack to allow that initial transient to pop through, and then you crush whatever your input signal is, be it your kick or your snare with the compressor. But you preserve that initial transient and that initial attack, so when you mix them together, you're emphasizing that attack. Here, we're completely squashing our snare drum, 10 dB of compression with a really, really fast attack, so we're emphasizing the overall tone of the snare drum. And then we can use our mix knob here as pretty much a tone knob, a tone dial for our snare drum, right? As we dial it back, we're mixing between all tone from our snare drum and then attack from our snare drum. So we can pull it back to a point where we have nice emphasis on the tone from that really, really aggressive compression we're doing, and then good attack on our snare drum as well, all without affecting the low end weight on our drums overall. So listen here, at 100%, all tone. At 0%, we're getting all that attack from our snare drum, but it's not balanced in the mix. And then right in the middle here, we strike the perfect balance between tone and attack on our snare drum to sit it perfectly inside the mix here. So we'll go both extremes, and then we'll dial into the middle there. Right around that 50% mark is where you start to hear it blend together and really sit nicely with the rest of the drums there. These couple tricks here are all you need to keep your drums fat and to keep them powerful while still controlling everything and gluing your kit together as a whole. Pulling in a high pass filter on a side chain to make sure your kick drum stays fat, and then using a mix knob to make sure you get the most tone out of your snare drum while still preserving the attack. I hope that was helpful for you. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, if you're ready to take your mixes to the next level and really start dialing in your workflow as an engineer, then I have just the tool for you, and it is completely free. It is my 7-step mixing checklist, and you can download it below to start creating more professional mixes in less time. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.